Hi there, this is Kevin Patton with a brief audio introduction to episode number 46 of the A&P Professor podcast, also known as TAPP Radio, an audio variety show for teachers of human anatomy and physiology. In the upcoming full episode, that is episode number 46, I'm going to swing back around to the topic of homeostasis and models that we use to teach that core concept to our students. You may recall that in episode number 45, I talked about the fact that I use 3 different primary models or analogies of homeostasis to help teach my students about that topic. And I talked about 2 of the 3 models. That is the engineered control system model or thermostat model, and also the fishbowl model. Well, in the upcoming full episode, I'm going to fill you in on the 3rd model that I use, which I call the Wallenda Model. And what that is and how it works, you'll have to wait for the full episode to find out. Another topic I'm going to briefly mention in that full episode is a side effect of measles that involves the loss of immune memory. And I'm also going to talk about a potential new mechanism for bone growth. Oh, and I'm also going to have some outtakes from previous episodes. No, I'm not. There's a reason they're called outtakes, because I want them out of there. So I take them out and I burn them and stomp on them and bury them. So no, you're never going to hear outtakes from this podcast. The free distribution of this podcast is sponsored by the Master of Science in Human Anatomy and Physiology Instruction, the Happy Degree. Looking for a way to join a committed group of peers working to enhance their skills in teaching A&P? Or do you have colleagues that could benefit from more training? Well, check out this online graduate program at nycc.edu/happy, that's HAPI. Or click the link in the show notes or episode page. Yep, you guessed it. It's time for more word dissections. And the first one that we have is a pretty simple one. It's one that you've probably broken down many times for your students, and that is the term chondrocyte. And as you probably already know, the word part chondro means cartilage, and the last part, cyte, C-Y-T-E, means cell. So a chondrocyte is a cartilage cell. Well, that leads us to a little bit stickier term that I'm going to be using in the full episode, and that is chondroprogenitor cell. Don't you love that name, chondroprogenitor? I mean, that's almost as great as carbaminohemoglobin. Chondroprogenitor has 6 syllables. Oh my gosh, it qualifies as a prize-winning scientific term. Because we all know that the more syllables a scientific term has, the more value it has, right? I don't know about that, but it seems to be the case in scientific terminology, doesn't it? Well, you may remember from preview episode number 38 when I did some more dissections, and one of the terms there was progenitor cell. And I said then that originally the word progenitor meant the founder of a family. And it comes from pro, which means first, and genitor, which means parent. So literally means first parent. But in human biology, a progenitor cell is like a stem cell, but it's more specific, being primed to differentiate into a particular type or subset of cells. So if we're talking about a chondroprogenitor cell, we're talking about a stem cell-like cell that is primed to differentiate into chondrocytes. So that makes it a chondroprogenitor cell. So see, you break it down, it's not so difficult. But man, those 6 syllables, that really throws you off, doesn't it? Our next term is epiphyseal plate, another commonly used term in A&P, but it's going to come up in the next episode. So I thought, well, this is good practice to break down this term. And epiphyseal plate, of course, is derived from the term epiphysis, which we also commonly use in our A&P courses. And breaking that down, we have epi, the first part, EPI, which means on or upon. And then the second part, PHYS, phys, means growth. So epiphyse means growth on, and the is ending is a noun ending. It means things. So epiphysis is a thing that grows upon something. In this case, it grows upon the end of a bone, end of a long bone, that is. So epiphysial, that's taking up epiphysis and swapping out the is ending, the noun ending, for an adjective ending, that is al, which means relating to. So epiphysial means relating to an epiphysis, or really relating to that growth upon the end of a long bone. And of course, a more informal name for epiphyseal plate is growth plate. So that makes sense, right? I mean, it literally has the word growth in there, the phys part of the term. Another term that's going to come up in the full episode is the term amnesia. That's made up of word parts that we use in other scientific terms as well, so let's break it down. The first word is a word part, a, and we see that a lot in scientific terms, and it means without or the absence of. And then the next word part is mne, pronounced knee. Mne means memory or remember. You may recall, or you may remember, that this has come up before when we talked about mnemonic devices. That MNE word part is at the beginning of the word mnemonic, which means relating to memory. Putting those two word parts that we have so far together, A means without, and MNE means memory. And then we get to the S, which is just a combining consonant. And those combining vowels or consonants that we see in scientific terms are often used there just to make the word sound a little less awkward. At least to whoever made up the word, it sounds less awkward. Sometimes I think it makes it worse, but that's just my opinion. So the S is just a combining letter, and then we have the IA ending, and that, as we all know, means a condition or a state. So putting it all together, it's the condition of being without memory. Amnesia, condition of being without memory. And then our last term isn't really made up of word parts. It goes way back in the history of the English language, and it comes from some Germanic words that come down to us, and the original meaning is specks. So that makes sense with measles, right? Because, the key symptom or sign of measles is all those little specks. I remember those little specks. I remember getting those little specks. I had the measles when I was a kid, and luckily I had a pretty mild case. And good for me that it imparted me some immunity so that I didn't get it again later. And we're going to talk about measles in our full episode. This podcast is sponsored by HAPS, the Human Anatomy and Physiology Society, promoting excellence in the teaching of human anatomy and physiology for over 30 years. Go visit HAPS at theapprofessor.org/HAPS. That's HAPS. Well, I have some good news and some bad news related to the A&P Professor Book Club. I'll give you the bad news first. I don't have a new book club recommendation for this preview episode. I will in later preview episodes, just not this one. And that leads me to the good news. The good news is I want to announce an awesome, spectacular, amazing opportunity. And that is, I want your recommendations to put into the A&P Professor Book Club. Yeah, you've read some books that have really helped you as an A&P teacher, either by, informing you about teaching techniques or strategies, informing you about how students think or learn, giving you some background into various content areas, maybe giving you some context for the history of what we teach. There's all kinds of different ways that books can make us better A&P teachers. And I've found some that have been very useful for me, but let's hear some that have been very helpful for you as well. So I want you to contribute your recommendations, and you can contribute more than one. And if I use your recommendation, then you'll get an Amazon gift certificate worth $25. And if you're among the first 5 entries of book club recommendations, I'm going to draw from those first 5 entries, and one winner will get a Kindle Fire HD 10 tablet. Now, think about your odds there. 1 in 5. I mean, what kind of drawing have you entered lately for free? Well, almost for free. You got to do something to earn it, but almost for free. And you have those kind of odds. So, I mean, that's fantastic, I think. Of course, I'm the one that made it up, so of course I would think it's fantastic. So, how do you contribute it? Well, I would prefer these to be audio contributions. If you absolutely cannot do that, well, okay, I might accept it, but you're going to go down to the bottom of the list there, not to the top. What I would like you to do is, well, there's a couple options you have. One is to call into the podcast hotline. That's 1-833-LION-DEN or 1-833-546-6336. Another way to do it is to record your entry and then email it to podcast@theapprofessor.org. Now, I may combine more than one of these entries if they're recommending the same book. But do check the approfessor.org/book club first to make sure that you're not duplicating a book that's already on the list. And for those of you contributing audio files, which I hope is all of you, I'm really encouraging all of you to do an audio contribution in which you are addressing all of our listeners and explaining what the book is and why you think it's helpful and what maybe 1 or 2 of your favorite parts of it are. So once I get those, I may edit them for clarity, and I'll certainly edit out any burps or farts or other unpleasant noises. So you don't have to worry about that. I'll take care of that. Of course, that's all within the limits of my feeble audio engineering skills, but I'll do my best. And when you record, keep in mind that it's best to use the best microphone that you have in a quiet environment. Usually the recorder built into your smartphone works just fine, but avoid using a speakerphone setting. Especially avoid using a speakerphone in your car while you're driving in rush hour. And don't record it during your morning run because your breathing isn't going to be right. Same thing, don't record it while you're biking to work or something like that. So once again, first 5 usable entries will go in a drawing where one winner will get a Kindle Fire HD 10 tablet. You can listen to your podcasts on there, but you can also listen to movies and do all kinds of other stuff. And everyone's contribution who gets used in a podcast eventually will get an Amazon gift certificate worth $25. So remember, just send it to podcast@theapprofessor.org or call in to 1-833-LION-DEN. A searchable transcript and a captioned audiogram of this preview episode are funded by AAA, the American Association of Anatomists, at anatomy.org. Well, this is Kevin Patton signing off for now and reminding you to keep your questions and comments coming. Oh, and don't forget those book club contributions. Keep those coming too. Why not call the podcast hotline right now at 1-833-LION-DEN? That's 1-833-546-6336. Or visit us at theapprofessor.org. I'll see you down the road.